Welcome to Pillowtime Lore, a quiet little haven where the world slows down and stories come to life just as the night settles in. Maybe you remember being a child, curled up under a soft blanket while your mom or dad sat beside you, their voice gentle and soothing. The day's troubles didn't matter then. The only thing that existed was the safety of their words, the warmth of their touch, and the promise that everything would be all right by morning. Perhaps you can still recall the way they'd caress your hair or hum a lullaby as your eyelids grew heavy. Those moments stay with us, tucked deep inside our hearts. Even as we grow older, here at Pillowtime Lore, we try to bring that same feeling back, that comforting sense of being cared for, of letting go, of slipping into dreams without a worry in the world. For some of you, today might have been long and exhausting. Maybe it didn't go as planned, or maybe the world just felt a little too loud. That's okay. This is your time now. Think of me as a cozy old grandma, sitting in a rocking chair by the fire, speaking softly as you settle in and let the day melt away. Each story we share is like a soft, warm blanket for the soul, filled with wonder, magic, and peace. So snuggle in, close your eyes, and let the words carry you to a place where worries can't follow. Welcome to Pillowtime Lore, where every night ends with comfort, and every story feels like home. Soft, twinkling fairy lights glow. Gentle forest sounds in the background, like leaves rustling and a distant magical hum. In a quiet little garden where the world seems ordinary and still, there lies a secret waiting to be discovered. A secret that only the bravest hearts can find. Tonight, we follow Luna, a curious young girl with a heart full of wonder and a mind full of questions. One evening, while exploring her garden, she stumbles upon something strange, something magical, something that will change her life forever. This is the tale of courage, kindness, and the magic that hides in places we least expect. So snuggle up, little dreamer. Let your imagination run free, and step with Luna into a world of glowing forests, whispering trees, and creatures who hold secrets of their own. Welcome to Luna and the Whispering Woods. Luna was not like other children. She was curious in a way that made the ordinary sparkle. She loved exploring the corners of her home, peeking under rocks, chasing the wind, and listening to the whispers of the trees. Her little heart always beating with a quiet excitement, for she believed that the world held secrets waiting for those who were brave enough to look. She lived in a small house at the edge of the village, where her mother often reminded her to be careful, to stick to the paths, to stay out of trouble. But Luna felt a tug in her chest every time she obeyed, like a part of her was meant to wander, meant to discover. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills and painted the sky in soft pinks and golds, Luna was playing in her garden, chasing shadows that stretched long across the grass, when something caught her eye. A small, moss-covered door tucked behind thick vines at the far corner. It was hardly bigger than a cat, yet it seemed impossibly old, as if it had been waiting for someone, waiting for her. Luna knelt down, brushing her fingers across the rough moss, feeling a strange warmth beneath her touch, and in that moment, the world felt hushed, like it was holding its breath. she could almost hear a soft whisper, gentle and distant, calling her name. Her heart raced with a delicious mix of fear and excitement. She knew she should turn back, that her mother would scold her if she wandered too far. Yet she could not resist the pull, the promise of something unseen. She tugged at the tiny handle, and with a gentle creak, the door opened, spilling a soft, magical breeze across her face, carrying scents of flowers she had never smelled, of snow on mountains she had never climbed. The air shimmered with tiny sparks that danced like fireflies, and as she stepped through the doorway, Luna felt herself lifted, not by magic she could see, but by the whispering thrill of stepping into a place that was hers to discover. The forest on the other side was unlike anything she had imagined. The trees bent and swayed as if to greet her, their leaves murmuring secrets only she could understand. Rivers hummed softly, carrying tunes that made her toes tingle, and tiny lights flickered among the bushes. Perhaps fairies, perhaps something else. Something waiting. Luna's chest swelled with wonder and a quiet joy. She felt the first flutter of knowing that life had more than rules and routines. It had mysteries and laughter hidden in quiet corners. And with a deep breath, she took her first step into the whispering woods. The adventure beginning with a whisper. The moment Luna stepped into the forest, she felt it breathe around her, each leaf and branch seeming to lean closer, as if they wanted to tell her something only she could hear. The air shimmered with tiny motes of light that danced like stars fallen to the earth, and the flowers glowed softly, their petals humming with quiet energy. Luna tiptoed along the mossy path, her eyes wide with wonder, feeling a happiness so simple and pure that it made her chest ache with joy. She laughed, a small, tinkling sound, as a gentle breeze twirled around her, carrying scents of lavender and honey, scents she didn't know she had been missing. She had never felt a place so alive, so welcoming as she wandered. Luna noticed the trees moving in patterns, not random, but deliberate, as if they were sharing stories with each other, their leaves whispering secrets that slipped through the air and brushed against her ears. She paused, leaning close to a silver-barked tree, and for a moment she could swear it was speaking her name, telling her that every person carries a light inside. Even when the world seems gray, Luna felt a shiver of awe, realizing that magic wasn't only about sparkles and shine. It was in listening, in noticing, in being present, in letting your heart feel. But then, as she moved deeper, a strange hush fell over the forest. The birds stopped singing. The rivers slowed, their hum growing faint, and the soft whispers of the trees carried a sadness, like a sigh that had been held too long. Luna's footsteps faltered, and she felt a pang of unease. It was almost as if the forest itself were tired, like it was missing something, a crown, a song, a guardian. Luna remembered her mother's words about life being full of unseen struggles, and she realized that even the most beautiful things can hurt silently, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is notice the pain and step forward anyway. With a deep breath, Luna tightened her grip on Pico's invisible hand, even though the creature hadn't yet appeared, and whispered to herself that she would help, that she would not turn back from something that needed her. She could feel the forest leaning in closer, waiting for her courage, and for the first time, Luna understood that magic is not only about wonder and play, but about love, attention, and the courage to care. And with that thought, she stepped further into the heart of the whispering woods, ready to uncover its secrets. Luna had been walking for what felt like hours, though the forest had no clocks, only whispers and shadows, when she suddenly noticed movement in the corner of her eye, a small figure hopping toward her. Faster than any normal animal, she froze for a heartbeat, curiosity battling with caution. And then she saw it clearly, a rabbit-like creature, no bigger than a loaf of bread, with fur as white as fresh snow, and eyes that twinkled like tiny lanterns. It wore a scarf woven from threads of silver and gold. Fluttering behind it as it approached, Luna felt a strange warmth in her chest, as if the creature had recognized something in her before she even knew herself. To her astonishment, the creature spoke, its voice soft and musical, like the wind through autumn leaves. "Hello, Luna," it said, tilting its head. "I have been waiting for you." Luna's eyes widened, and for a moment she thought she must be dreaming. She had never heard an animal speak, and yet every instinct in her body told her this was real. "My name is Pico," the creature continued, bowing slightly. "I am a guardian of the whispering woods, and you, my brave little wanderer, have the heart to help save it." Luna felt her knees tremble, a mix of fear and excitement swirling inside her like a gentle storm. Pico explained that the forest's heart, the crown of seasons, had been stolen by a mysterious shadow, and that without it, the trees would cease to sing, the rivers would run cold, and the flowers would lose their glow. The magic of the woods depended on the courage of those who could see beyond what was ordinary. Luna listened intently, her thoughts wandering to her own world, where everything was neat, scheduled, and predictable. She realized that perhaps her curiosity, the very thing her mother often scolded her for, was exactly what made her capable of bravery. "You must help me," Pico said, looking at her with eyes that seemed to see into her very soul. "The forest chose you because it knows you understand something others do not, that even in a world full of darkness, one brave heart can bring back the light." Luna felt a shiver run through her, a mix of awe and purpose, and she nodded, feeling for the first time that adventure and responsibility could be one and the same. Together they stepped deeper into the forest, the shadows moving around them, the trees whispering encouragement, and Luna felt her heart swell, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Though Luna's heart fluttered like a trapped bird, she nodded, feeling a strange courage blossom inside her. Pico gave a small, approving hop and reminded her that the forest had a rhythm of its own, that the paths would shift and the trees would whisper riddles to test her. Some beings they met might guide her, others might try to trick her, and it was up to her to see with both eyes and heart. Luna tightened her little hands into fists, whispering to herself that she was ready, even if she did not fully know what that meant. The forest seemed to breathe around them as they walked, the air thick with magic and the scent of moss and wildflowers. Every step made the soft ground hum beneath her feet. The branches above swayed as if to point the way. The leaves whispered secrets in a language she could not understand but somehow felt in her chest. She thought of her mother's words about following rules and being careful, and laughed softly to herself, realizing that sometimes rules were meant to guide you, not cage you, and that the bravest steps are taken into the unknown. As they ventured deeper, Luna noticed small signs along the path. A pattern of stones glowing faintly, the flutter of a blue-winged bird, the gentle gurgle of a stream bending toward them. She understood that the forest was alive in more ways than one, not just in its trees and rivers, but in its willingness to help those who listened. Pico occasionally twitched his ears and whispered hints, teaching Luna that being observant was just as important, and that courage alone would not see her through. She had to think, feel, and trust the forest as much as herself. Luna's mind wandered to her home, to her quiet room, and the books she loved to read. She realized that all the curiosity and wonder that had once seemed like childish fancy had prepared her for this very moment. She could feel herself changing with every step, discovering a strength she hadn't known she had, a patience and a sharpness born from all the little adventures of her ordinary life. She looked at Pico and whispered softly, "I will try my best," and somehow the forest seemed to sigh in relief, the leaves quivering as if to say, "We know." And with that, Luna took the next step deeper into the whispering woods, ready for the first real test of her courage. As Luna and Pico approached a clearing, she noticed a sly, orange fox sitting atop a moss-covered rock, its bushy tail curled neatly around its paws, its golden eyes glinting mischievously in the dappled light. Before she could step forward, the fox spoke, its voice soft but commanding. "No one crosses my bridge without proving they are clever and brave." Luna's heart skipped a beat. The bridge ahead shimmered with a strange golden glow, seeming to float over a misty chasm. She swallowed, her hands trembling with excitement and nerves. Pico nudged her gently, whispering, "You can do this, Luna. Think of all the little puzzles you've solved at home, all the ways you've noticed the world. This is just like that, only bigger." The fox's first riddle came like a soft breeze. "I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind." What am I? Luna thought, her mind swirling with possibilities. She remembered the whispers of the forest, the singing rivers, and the murmuring leaves. And then she smiled, "An echo," she said, and the fox tilted its head, eyes gleaming with approval. The bridge ahead glimmered faintly, as if acknowledging her answer. The second riddle was trickier. "I can fly without wings. I can cry without eyes. Wherever I go, darkness follows me." What am I? Luna frowned, her thoughts racing. She remembered the stormy clouds that sometimes gathered over her garden, the shadows that made her curious instead of afraid. And she whispered, "A cloud." The fox nodded, its tail flicking like a metronome. The bridge shimmered brighter. Finally, the fox presented the third riddle. "I am taken from a mine and shut in a wooden case, from which I am never released, and yet I am used by almost every person." What am I? Luna paused, thinking of pencils in her school bag, the letters she loved to write, the stories she had always imagined, and she answered, "Lead." The fox's eyes sparkled, and it gave a bow, disappearing into the woods as the bridge lit up completely. Luna stepped forward, her heart lighter, her mind sharper. She felt a warmth bloom inside, realizing that courage is not only about facing the unknown, but also about listening, thinking, and trusting yourself. She looked at Pico, who smiled knowingly, and together they crossed the glowing bridge, the forest humming softly as if it was proud. After crossing the glowing bridge, Luna and Pico continued deeper into the forest, where the trees grew taller and the sunlight filtered through like golden threads, casting long, dancing shadows across the mossy ground. Suddenly, they reached a wide, shimmering river, its waters sparkling with colors she had never seen before. Stepping stones floated above the water, moving slowly and rearranging themselves, and perched on the largest stone was a gentle, ancient turtle, its shell shining with a large clock embedded in the center. Each tick and talk sounding like a heartbeat in the forest. The turtle blinked slowly and spoke in a voice soft yet commanding. "Child, if you wish to cross, you must learn to wait. For patience is the rhythm of life, and timing is its melody." Luna frowned, eager to hurry, her heart pulsing with the thrill of adventure. She wanted to leap across the stones, to dash forward without thinking. Pico gently nudged her, reminding her that not every path is won by speed. Some paths require stillness, and Luna took a deep breath, remembering all the times she had rushed in her own world, spilling paint, losing a ball, or tripping in her garden. And she realized that rushing often caused mistakes. The turtle smiled. "I will give you 3 clues to guide your mind as well as your feet." "The first riddle," he asked. "I move without legs. I breathe without lungs. I flow yet never stop. What am I?" Luna paused, looking at the river, the sunlight reflecting in ripples across the stone, and whispered, "Water." The turtle nodded, his clock ticking slowly, as if approving. The second riddle came next. "I speak without a tongue. I tell the time without hands. I remind the patient of their own heart." "What am I?" Luna thought, carefully, feeling the steady beat of her own chest and the rhythmic ticks of the turtle's shell, and she smiled. "A clock." The turtle's eyes twinkled. The stepping stones wiggled gently, teasing her patience. The final riddle was, "I am always ahead, yet never caught. I teach those who watch to wait. I am found in moments and memories." What am I? Luna reflected on the adventures that had brought her here, on the lessons she had learned from curiosity and courage, and said softly, "Time." The turtle nodded, slowly moving aside, and at that moment, the stepping stones aligned perfectly, allowing Luna to cross safely as she stepped onto the river. Luna felt a warmth in her chest, understanding that life is not a race, but a careful dance with patience, observation, and trust in the rhythm of the world. She looked back at the turtle, bowing her head in gratitude, knowing she had learned something she would carry forever. Luna and Pico wandered into a grove that shimmered with every color of the rainbow, the leaves glowing softly like tiny lanterns, and the air smelled sweet with the scent of flowers she could not name. The light danced in patterns that made her feel as if the trees themselves were breathing, and somewhere, hidden in the branches, a soft rustle made her heart skip. Suddenly, a small figure appeared, shifting and flickering with every movement. A chameleon whose skin changed colors with its every emotion, from bright green to deep blue, gold to violet, hiding whenever Luna moved too quickly, shrinking into the leaves as if it could melt away and vanish. Luna remembered the times she had been afraid in her own world, the days she had hidden from people or new experiences, and she understood that this creature was not mischievous, only frightened. She knelt slowly, her voice soft and warm, whispering stories of her little adventures, of mistakes she had made and the lessons she had learned. Her words carried a gentle patience, like the calm before a rainstorm. The chameleon peeked out, flickering nervously, then slowly settled into a gentle green, as if deciding to trust. Luna smiled, realizing that sometimes the bravest thing is simply showing kindness to a creature who is afraid. The chameleon blinked its round eyes and spoke, voice tiny but clear. Few see me for who I am. Most only notice the colors I wear. I hide my fear in shifting shades. Luna nodded, thinking of herself, of all the times she had hidden in books or daydreams, feeling small and uncertain, and whispered, I understand. Sometimes the world can be too big, and we hide because we are scared. But showing patience and kindness can help hearts feel safe enough to open. Slowly, the chameleon straightened, colors calming, and gave Luna directions toward the shadow's lair, saying softly that everyone hides their fears in different ways, and that seeing with empathy can reveal truths that eyes alone cannot. Luna felt a warmth in her chest, a quiet courage blossoming, knowing that even the smallest gestures of understanding can shine like magic. And with a nod to Pico, they continued deeper into the forest, the rainbow leaves shimmering gently as if applauding their bravery. Luna and Pico moved carefully through the forest, the trees growing taller and shadows stretching like long fingers across the mossy ground. The air shimmered with tiny lights that danced like fireflies, and a sense of mischief tickled at the edges of the clearing ahead. She could feel it before she saw it, a playful presence waiting to test her heart and mind. Suddenly, the garden spirit appeared, small and quick, with hair like spun, sunlight and eyes twinkling like stars. It darted around, creating illusions of paths that glowed gold but ended in cliffs, doors that led nowhere, and mirrors that reflected Luna's own doubts back at her. Her heart began to flutter, and a whisper of fear crept in, reminding her of all the times she had wanted to give up when things seemed too hard. She almost turned away, thinking perhaps she was not brave enough for this quest. Then she remembered the lessons she had learned from the forest, the sly fox who taught her to see beyond fear, the patient turtle who showed her the importance of timing, and the shy chameleon who reminded her that understanding and kindness could reveal truth. She closed her eyes for a moment, took a deep breath, and let herself trust the wisdom of her own heart. Suddenly, the illusion seemed to wobble and blur, and Luna could see the faint, real path hidden beneath the tricks. The garden spirit giggled, a sound like chimes in the wind, swirling around her as if teasing her. Very clever, little traveler. Not many see through the masks I weave. Luna smiled, feeling a warmth spread in her chest, knowing that determination and calm could pierce through confusion and doubt. She stepped forward confidently, the mossy path solid beneath her feet. The spirit darted around her once more, spinning in laughter, its eyes shining with approval, and then it vanished, leaving the clearing calm and still. Luna looked at Pico and whispered, "It was testing us, wasn't it?" Pico nodded, and she realized that sometimes the hardest obstacles are not monsters or storms, but the doubts and fears that live inside our own minds, and that seeing clearly and trusting oneself can turn trickery into triumph. With a quiet laugh, she took the next step toward the shadow's lair, her courage brighter than ever. At last, Luna reached the edge of the forest, where the trees grew sparse and the air shimmered with an unfamiliar chill. The path narrowed and twisted like a ribbon, and shadows flickered across the ground. Stretching and bending with every step she took, her heart pounded with anticipation. She expected a terrifying monster to leap from the darkness. Yet, when she stepped into the small clearing, she found a trembling figure crouched beneath an ancient, gnarled tree. It was small and fragile, made entirely of shadow, its edges flickering like smoke in the wind. Luna's breath caught in her chest, for she had never seen anything so lonely. The shadow spoke, voice quiet and trembling. I never meant to hurt anyone. I only wanted someone to be with me. The crown of seasons is all I know that could make a world where I would not be alone. Luna knelt down, feeling her heart swell with compassion. She thought of all the times she had felt scared and alone in her own life, of the moments when she had wished for a friend or a hand to hold. She understood that the shadow was not evil, only frightened and misunderstood, and she whispered softly, "I understand. Sometimes loneliness can make us do things we don't fully think through. But even in the darkest places, kindness can be stronger than fear." The shadow shivered, edges quivering like candlelight. "But how can I trust anyone after all I've done?" Luna smiled gently, remembering the lessons of the forest of courage, patience, and empathy. She said, "I see your heart, not the darkness you carry. And I believe that even the loneliest creatures deserve a chance to be seen and loved." The shadow's form softened slightly, as if her words had melted part of the fear inside. Slowly, the shadow stepped forward, taking Luna's hand, a warmth spreading between them. She felt a quiet strength fill her chest, understanding that sometimes the greatest magic is not in crowns or spells, but in friendship and understanding. And in that moment, the first step toward restoring the crown of seasons began. The forest around them seemed to sigh in relief, and Luna knew that bravery was not only in facing danger, but in opening one's heart to another. Luna held the trembling shadow's hand gently, looking into the soft, flickering darkness and whispering, "The forest needs its heart back, and so do you. We can do this together." The shadow hesitated, fear and loneliness mingling in its form. Yet something in Luna's steady eyes and kind voice melted the doubt. Slowly, it nodded, a shiver running through its shadowy edges. And together they walked to the ancient tree at the heart of the forest. The tree that had once held the crown of seasons, now waiting patiently for its return. As the shadow carefully placed the crown back upon the gnarled branches, a surge of light burst forth, spilling through the forest like liquid gold. The rainbow leaves shimmered brighter than ever. Rivers sang in joyful melodies, and flowers bloomed in colors Luna had never imagined. Every leaf, stone, and creature seemed to stretch and dance in celebration. The air itself felt alive, humming with a warmth that made her heart flutter. She realized that magic was not only in crowns or spells, but in courage, understanding, and the gentle choices that heal. Pico hopped up and down, the fox's sly grin gleaming in the sparkling light, and the chameleon shifted through brilliant colors, each one a message of pride and joy. Luna laughed softly, tears of wonder and happiness filling her eyes. She knew that she had not only restored the forest, but she had also restored a lonely heart, a truth that whispered through the woods, that even the smallest acts of empathy and bravery could change the world in ways no one could imagine. As the forest calmed into a gentle, glowing evening, Luna hugged her friends tightly, promising to never forget them, to carry the lessons of patience, courage, and kindness in her own life. And stepping back through the moss-covered garden door, she felt the familiar breeze wrap around her like a warm blanket. She looked back once, the forest glowing faintly through the door, and in her heart she understood that curiosity could open worlds, empathy could mend the deepest wounds, and courage could shine even in the darkest shadows. And with that, Luna smiled, ready to carry the magic she had found into her own world.